Itch it up, my selector.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
I know you gonna dig this.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Saturday means Sucker Punch. Saturday means a 2-hour show, 1 hour here, 1 hour on my channel later. And here we are, Saturday. A couple fight cards today, Joe, that didn't really get that much attention. We just saw George Kambosos Jr. defeat Jake Wiley, last-minute replacement opponent. Later on today, we have Sebastian Fondura, who is a unified champ at 154 pounds, taking on Chordale Booker. And this just might be a potential banana skin. So Chordale Booker, we'll talk about him in a moment. But before we talk about him, Joe, give me your thoughts real quick about the George Kambosos Jr. Jake Wiley fight that was just televised just a few minutes ago on DAZN. It concluded. What were your thoughts on that fight?
I hate to throw shade, but shout out to Kareem Sareen on Twitter. She tweeted out, "I can't believe this is the guy that beat Teofimo Lopez." And after every George Kambosos fight, I find myself saying the same thing. George Kambosos is a solid fighter, right? But he's just not that guy, right? He had that one fight with Teo, and ever since then, and even before then, he's had some really close fights.
Maxie Hughes fight was close. I thought he lost that one.
He lost that fight. I thought that he's never really lit the world on fire, right? He was just good enough to compete, but not really good enough to be the man, right? And in this fight, it was pretty much more the same. If this is a performance that he's going to build on, where he can say, "Wow, off of this, I can beat someone like a Richardson Hitchens," I just don't see it. I don't see it. I thought Wiley was there in his face. He was landing some good right hands on him. Kambosos got some good counter lefts in there. He's placing his body shots pretty well. But every round, it was like he really, really had to dig down deep to pull out these rounds. He was not dominating these rounds. He wasn't really winning them going away, winning them really clearly. He was just eking out a lot of them, right?
Didn't one of the judges have it 115, 113?
Yeah. It was kind of like a 115, 113, 116, 112 type of fight.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a guy that came in, I think, on 2 weeks' notice?
Less than. Apparently he got the call on Sunday.
Yeah, so imagine what would have happened with a full training camp. So, like I said, I'm not impressed by George Kambosos. I don't see him beating any of the champions at 140. But you know what? Shout out to him, man. The guy always seems to be in big fights. He's probably going to get another title shot based off of this. He's because he's signed with Eddie Hearn, and it's always good when you got a promoter like Eddie Hearn who's got broadcast deals with a lot of these broadcasters, right? So he's in a good position where he can get title shots, he can get big fights. He's probably making some decent money. So my hat goes off to him in that department. But as far as George Kambosos ever being the man at 140, I don't see it.
So I'm being told that my mic is sounding funny. You hearing that, Joe?
I have no problem with it, man. It sounds okay to me.
Okay, well, they're saying it's a tad loud, so maybe I'll just move away. Move away. I don't.
That's little Penny, like he's the type of guy where you'd go out to a 5-star restaurant and he'd be that one guy that finds the speck on the tablecloth. I mean, that's just how this kid is. He's very meticulous.
Yeah, it's everybody's saying it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. Oh, but probably because of your location. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I got to figure that one out. Apparently, I sound a bit loud. Okay, I'll soften my tone today. I didn't see the Sky Nicholson fight, Joe.
Yeah,
Did you see it?
No, I got to go back and watch it. I'm not. I mean, it was supposedly a very close fight. I'll go back and watch it. I only ended up getting to see the main event. I kind of woke up a little bit.
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to ask you about is when we look at opponents for George Kambosos Jr. at 140, they're talking about him facing Richardson Hitchens, but I thought Richardson Hitchens has to face Matias. Didn't Matias win a final eliminator for the IBF title?
I don't know if it was a final eliminator. I don't know. I don't know if the fight with the Matias was ordered. So we'll see how that plays out. You know how they do these eliminators. Sometimes you can get caught in a purgatory of eliminators where you're fighting a final of the final eliminator. They just keep replicating themselves over and over again. So we saw Dillian White. How many eliminators and interim title fights did this guy have to fight before he was able to finally get a shot at the heavyweight title? So it took him forever, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So let's get to the topic at hand. There's a card taking place later today at the Michelob Ultra Arena in Vegas, which is a smaller venue than the T-Mobile. I believe it seats about a little short of 10,000. We've seen some fights over there. Sebastian Fondura is taking on Chordale Booker. There's some I would say, interesting fights on the undercard as well. Jesus Ramos Jr. taking on Guido Schramm, who's out of Argentina. And then we have Elijah Garcia taking on Terrell Gaucher, who seems to get relatively steady work by PBC standards over there with the PBC. And then Frudes Rojas against Maurice Lee. That's a welterweight fight. And then we also have Alberto Mora versus Victor Slavinsky. That's a super featherweight fight. But the fight that I think most people are obviously interested in, I'm interested in the Jesus Ramos fight as well, because I think he should be an undefeated fighter. I've said this many times. I thought he actually beat Erickson Lubin in that fight, but maybe I'm in the minority on that one.
Yeah.
Sebastian Fundora was supposed to fight Errol Spence. There were talks about him fighting Crawford. There were talks about him rematching Tim Tszyu. Turns out that he's been out of the ring now for about a year, right? Yeah. Since he won that bloodbath of a fight against Tim Tszyu. Now he's back defending 2 titles against Chordale Booker. And I think because of the fact that we've seen him knocked out so brutally before, because of the fact that he has been this inactive for this amount of time, I mean, I agree with your assessment of this, Joe, and I want you to elaborate on it. This could very well be a banana skin.
Yeah, because we were in this same spot before with Brian Mendoza. Brian Mendoza was a gigantic underdog. I think he was like, in that fight, I think he was like a plus 700 or something, plus 700 or 800. And Fondura was like a minus 1100, if I'm not mistaken. So the odds were long in that fight. And one punch changed it, turned it all around, right? And the Sergio Garcia fight was another fight where Fondura did not look great. A lot of people think he even lost that fight against Sergio Garcia, but he eked it out. So it's tough when you're a young guy like Fondura. Now he's a unified champ. But so much of the talk this past year since he beat Tim Tszyu was about the big fights, right? It was about, as you said, the Spence fight and the Crawford fight. And you've been inactive. And I guess they're saying that his nose wasn't broken. So I guess it was all just having issues with dates, figuring out what Spence wanted to do, and also figuring out what Crawford wanted to do, because no one really thought that Canelo fight was going to come to fruition, and obviously now it's going to happen in September if Canelo gets past Skull in May. So this guy was put in a position where he was waiting for other fighters, and in that situation, he would have been the B side in both those fights. So he was basically on someone else's time, waiting for them, just like when back in the day when everyone was waiting for the payday for Floyd. And a lot of times when that happens, you end up becoming inactive, and you're not in the gym. You're not. I don't know if he was training just trying to keep in shape while he was out, but more often than not, fighters don't when they don't have that same intensity when they don't have a fight lined up. So did complacency set in? He's a young guy. How did the layoff going to affect him? And psychologically, I asked Sampson this yesterday. This is, with all due respect to Mr. Booker, this is a letdown. This is a letdown. And you're in there with a guy who's been bouncing up and down from like middleweight to junior middleweight. He did get knocked out by Emil Williams in one round, but he's got a victory over Wale Amatoso. So this is a guy where I don't know. Like, what do you expect from this guy? He's a southpaw. He's a little bit crafty. He knows how to hang in there. He knows how to make the fight difficult. I'm sure he's coming to win. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, right? He's fighting for the title, right? These things don't happen very often, and he was very fortunate to get this shot because the other two fights fell through. So I'm sure he's going to try and make the best of it. But the thing that stays in the back of my mind is we've seen Fondura be hot and cold so often. Like some fights he looks great, other fights you say to yourself, "Wow, this guy didn't look that good tonight." So you have to ask yourself, which Fondura are we going to get tonight? And if he's off a little bit, and if Booker decides he's going to put on the performance of his lifetime, then we can get a very interesting fight tonight.
Let me ask you this, Joe, because if you look at the last few fights that Fondura's been in, let's look at the last three, right? Unanimous decision win against Carlos Ocampo, right? KO loss to Brian Mendoza, and split decision win over the son of the legend, Kostya Tszyu, the son being Tim Tszyu. Let me ask you this, because I actually don't remember. Who did you have winning that fight, Tim Tszyu or Mendoza? Because I was actually away in Arizona that weekend, because I was actually at the Valdez fight where he fought the Australian, and this fight was like the day after that. And I don't remember talking to you in the immediate aftermath. Who did you have winning that fight? Do you remember?
Yeah, I had Tszyu winning the fight.
So you had Tszyu beating Fondura.
Oh! At the end of you said Mendoza.
Sorry, Tszyu. Sorry, I meant Tim Tszyu. Who did you have winning that fight? Because Tszyu lost it by split decision.
Yeah, I had Fondura eking it out 115 and 115.
Okay.
I had him eking it out.
Yeah. So that's the last three fights. You've got a unanimous decision against Ocampo. You've got a KO loss to Brian Mendoza, and then literally nearly a year later, after the Tim Tszyu split decision, in a fight that, by the way, he was getting pummeled until the elbow strike.
Yeah.
He's now facing Chordale Booker. They both weighed in at 152 and 3/4 pounds. Actually, he weighed in at 152 and 3/4. Booker weighed in at 152 and a half. So they appear to both be in shape.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's got all of the makings to me of a potential banana skin here. And look, let's just have a quick look at this for those of you who have already forgotten. I mean, let's look. Here we go.
Now he's trying to.
I mean, that's a guy that, I mean, there are vulnerabilities there, right?
Yeah.
And
he's always been vulnerable in all of his fights, and that's the thing. He's never been one to be said to have had the best defense, and a lot of the criticism has been that he does get hit an awful lot. Now, obviously, fighters get hit, but he tends to catch those shots very flush. You know what I mean? He's not like some fighters roll shots. He like leans into them because he's so tall sometimes, and he has to punch down. So when you're punching down, automatically on a lot of occasions you're leaning down and leaning in, and that sometimes could make you vulnerable.
Well, he's also a tall guy that doesn't mind to box on the inside, right?
But
when he's closing that distance, like you said, sometimes he does lean in, which makes him vulnerable. Go for it.
And the problem is too when he does get close, he's not bending his knees. Like obviously, when you're far away, you make yourself tall and long. When you're on the inside, you make yourself small. You want to be that compact target. And this guy does not make himself a compact target when he gets close. He just doesn't do it. So,
well, I mean, Scrap TV saying Booker doesn't hit like that though, but Mendoza doesn't really have a lot of knockouts that look like that either. Like, let's be honest.
Mendoza was not a huge puncher either. Come on, let's be honest.
Ernie Shavers Mendoza is not. Like, he did hit him with a couple beautifully timed punches there to hit the target, but I haven't seen knockouts like that from Mendoza on the interim championship level. Other than this fight, do you got any information, Joe, about the betting odds? Because after we break down the fight, we can do a little beating the odds with Beeb for anybody that's feeling like they want to lay a little money down on Booker tonight as an underdog. But in terms of the keys to victory for Booker, what are you looking at? I mean, typically you're fighting a taller guy, right? You want to get on the inside. You want to get there to the body, right? And really, if you're Booker, to me, you really gotta let your hands go, right?
This is the type of fight where you gotta smother Fondura in that space, because even though Fondura likes to fight on the inside, he does tend to wing the shots. So you got to try to thread the needle on the inside and not always make this about don't try to hit a home run. All you got to do is when you're on the inside, you got to get low, make yourself a compact target, run your combinations, and just step off to the side, because Fondura does not have the best footwork either. Sometimes he's tripping over himself when he's trying to catch up to you. Yeah. So you kind of want to take him out of his comfort zones. You want to smother him as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you turn him on the inside. Don't stand right in front of him. And you got to be careful because he does have that little sneaky uppercut, right? So that's why you got to kind of step off to the side and blade yourself a little bit, get low, bend your knees, and just put shots together. And don't look to just, obviously you want to sit down on some of your shots, but don't really try to overshoot the punches up close, right?
I agree. And defensively, you got to have your hands up. I'd like to see him not just sticking with a high guard, which a lot of guys try to do when they're with a taller fighter, right? But pairing your shots, catch and countering the jab, not just moving forward just with a high guard, but slipping, rolling, and again, parrying a lot of these punches. You got to vary the blocks, because when you vary the blocks, you're able to vary the counters. So he's got to be dynamic in there. He's got to use quick feet. You got to close that gap, get in on the inside, and throw punches. Look, and I do want to say I haven't forgotten about the KO of Mendoza over Rosario. I was actually there when that happened in Minnesota. It was on the undercard of David Morrell Jr. fight, and I was actually there and scolded by by Showtime Boxing because I had my camera out and got a little bit of a quick interview with Mendoza as he was leaving the ring that night. But I got to be honest to you guys as well. Banana Rosario, I mean, to me has been a shot fighter for a while. So again, he's got the KO there. He's got the KO of Fondura, but we've also seen him in other fights like against Tim Tszyu and many others where he just didn't really seem to be able to put it all together. And Cordell Booker hasn't really fought. Sorry, Chordale Booker hasn't really fought as much on television, so he's a little bit of an enigma for some people. But he's not actually from too far from where you are, Joe, or where I am. He's kind of in the middle of Connecticut between New York and Boston. So we have seen him a little bit. He is a skilled guy. He's the kind of guy that can really get in there and cause a problem. And for me, the issue with Mendoza and what he was able to land is like you were saying, Joe. He sometimes you see Fundura's head, and it's like just stuck on the top of like a pole. It's like not really swiveling that much. It's like right there to get hit. You got any information there about the odds on this fight?
Yeah. So
okay, hold up. We gotta do this the right way. Here we go. All right, quick beating the odds with Beeb, guys, and then I'll open it up for anybody that wants to join us. Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, so Sebastian Fondura is a minus 1,400. Chordale Booker is a plus 750. So that means if you put up $1,400 on Fondura, you win 100. And if you put up 100, you win 750 plus 100 back on Chordale Booker. Everyone's saying, and I understand it, that Fondura should get the stoppage here, right? And if you bet him to win by stoppage, Fondura, it's a minus 200. And if you bet him to win by decision, it's a plus 210. And Booker to win by KO is a plus 1,200. And Booker to win by decision is a plus 2,000. You know, this
plus 2,000.
Yeah, so you put up 100, you get 2,000 plus 100, you get 2,100 back. So that's crazy. So for me,
by decision too.
Yeah. So for me, even though I think Fondura should win this fight, I would not be against him just for the hell of it. Why not just put a little something on Booker, right? He's a plus 750. You want to throw like a small little bet on Booker, right? You can almost multiply your money 8 times over. So why not take a shot at it? So I obviously Fondura is favored, and more than likely he probably will get the win. But I don't know. Something's telling me here that something can happen, right? I just don't like the layoff. I see the history of Fondura, and as time has gone on, I don't think he's gotten better. I think he's gotten a little bit worse in terms of, especially with his defense, right? And I'm not so sure continuing to fight at this weight is optimum for him, right? Optimal for him. Maybe he should probably eventually move up. So let's just throw a little something. Let's throw like a $50 on Booker, and we'll take that plus 750 just for the hell of it.
Well, that's what Omar is saying. He's saying that plus 2,000 sounds tempting. $50 gets you 100.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1,000.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like why not just like play? Why not wait? Let's just play the lottery a little bit. Why not?
Right. Now, Joe, you did an interview with Samson. We'll link to it in the description of this video. I can play portions of it if you want, or you can summarize it here. But
if you want.
What did he say generally about the genesis of this fight? Like why this fight? Why Cordell Booker?
I guess the way he was putting it is this guy Booker has been on some PBC shows. Technically, he is a PBC fighter, but in his last fight, he was fighting at 160. So this guy's been up and down. So, but he made weight comfortably. I guess this was the only fight they had available. I mean, they were trying hard to look for an opponent, and this was
they couldn't find an opponent that wanted to fight for 2 world titles at 154.
Well, here's the thing: you're coming off of a layoff. That's number one. Number two, there's other big fights out there, so you don't want to take too big of a risk for too low of a reward. So I guess they needed this type of opponent where they felt as though this wasn't a huge risk, right? This is a comeback fight off of a layoff. And plus, too, that Tim Tszyu fight was not an easy fight.
No.
Not an easy fight. Even with all that blood going in Tim Tszyu's eyes and streaming from the top of his head, he was holding his own in that fight. And I had him losing that fight narrowly. And I'll take it to the grave. I can't believe that his corner didn't have call for the doctor to look at that and try to stop that fight. All he had to do was say, "I couldn't see," you know what I mean? And he couldn't see. He was basically fighting blind in that fight, and he still managed to only lose it narrowly, right?
That's true. So we're going to play a little bit of this interview, Joe. But before I do that, I want to let everybody that's watching on Twitter know 2 things. One, come on over to YouTube. Link is in the description right there on Twitter. But hit that retweet button, hit the like button, and come on over to continue watching the rest of the show and hearing Mr. Samson Lukovitz's thoughts on this fight. Come on over to YouTube. Everyone on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and remember that Joe goes live every Sunday night, flagship show on this channel with the one and only Eric Lorda. Ringside Reporter Live, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. if you're out there in the UK for some late night Sunday boxing talk to get your week started on the right way. Come on over to YouTube. There we go. So let's have a look here, Joe, at your interview real quick with Samson. I encourage everyone who's watching here to check it out. It's definitely worth watching, I think, because you not only got into this fight, you also ended up talking about some other things as well related to David Benavidez, which we'll get into on hour number 2. But let's have a look. Let's have a listen. Here we go. This is the one and only Joe Habeeb. This is a great interview, I thought, with none other than Mr. Samson Lukovitz. Here we go.
Okay. So Crawford, I believe at the time when he fought Madrimov, I'm trying to remember if the WBO the interim wasn't on the line, I guess. But I think Crawford at one point was the mandatory to fight for the WBO title as well, if I'm not mistaken. Now
that's correct.
And he ended up bypassing that. So you guys were on board to take on Crawford as a potential opponent if Spence wasn't there. Is that correct?
That's exactly what happened. Okay. We tried to make that fight happen, but we spoke with Harrison, and he said, let me have time. And all kind of bullshit. The only thing he won and he got to fight Canelo.
Yeah. So what was the goal, though? When did you guys really want to get back there? Because I'm sure you didn't want to take the full year off. What was the time frame? When did you want to get back in the ring?
We have no choice.
Yeah.
So we need to wait. You know what I mean? Because we have a mandatory and we have someone that it'd be a good fight. And he was not ready, and he changed 3 times the date. So we lost our time. That what happened.
How does Sebastian feel about this opponent? Because again, he was hoping for a bigger name. With all due respect to Mr. Booker, is there some type of mental letdown going into this fight? And are you're probably not concerned with that because it's your job to make sure that doesn't happen. But did you have to kind of motivate him a little bit for this fight?
It's interesting that you're asking his question, Joe. And I'm going to bring you on in a moment, little Penny, right after this. It's like you're not that enthusiastic about the fight. I think most fight fans aren't that enthusiastic of the fight. So you're basically saying, I bet your fighter wasn't that enthusiastic either.
I did everything short of saying this is not a huge fight. How is he going to get up for it? But I tried to do it in a very diplomatic way.
Of course, and it was done very well. Let's hear his response.
Because this is not what he actually wanted in the first place.
He respect every opponent, and actually, when we start to look for the top 15 contenders, many of those he say no, thank you. Finally we have somebody that want to step on the ring with them, but you can never
Go for it, Joe.
Again, I love this guy. He's a nice guy and all. He gives me time, so I can't disrespect him.
Yeah.
But everybody in the top 15 was offered the fight and they said no. This is where the wheels fall off. This is where the wheels fall off.
Well, that's my thing. You can't tell me.
No one's going to believe that.
You can't tell me that they searched the entire 154-pound division and they couldn't find the guy that wanted to fight for the unified title. Like,
this is what happened. This guy has been on. He's a PBC fighter, Mr. Chordale Booker, right?
Yeah.
He is like ranked in the top 5. He's like ranked number 5, I think, by WBO, and he's ranked like number 13 by the WBC. So he's eligible to fight for the title.
Yeah.
This was the safest opponent, the safest ranked opponent that they could fight
within the PBC universe.
In the PBC universe, where they can give him short money, where Sebastian can still get the big chunk of the pie. So everyone wins here. This guy gets a shot at the title that he probably never would have gotten, or he would have had to wait a long time for. That's number one. And number two, they don't have to pay him a lot. And number three, it's easy to make because he's a PBC fighter. So this was everything aligning. All the stars aligned perfectly for this fight to take place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was about to make a comic book analogy of it being like DC in one space, Marvel in another space. But I can't even say that PBC is like DC or Marvel. I don't even know if I can say they're like Dark Horse Comics. I don't know where I'd rank them. Anyways, that's enough of that. Let's finish this and then bring on Lil Penny.
Never frustrate the Fundura's family. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
He's living a healthy life in the mountains, and he's doing very well. Yeah. So there's no.
Well, go for it again, Joe. Yeah.
He's living a healthy life in the mountains. He's doing well. So, what's he doing? He's vacationing. Like he's in the mountains vacationing. What are we doing here?
We couldn't get a guy in the top 15 that wanted to fight for a unified world title. And you know what? It's fine. We're in the mountains. We're living good. We're doing our thing.
That's hilarious.
Frustration at all. And he's training every day.
Yeah. So let me ask you a
question. Okay, let's bring on Lil Penny. We can go back to that later if you want. Lil Penny, let me go to you first, because this is very important to you, what's going on around 154 pounds. Your fellow Aussie, your brother from down under, all right, none other than Tim Tszyu, son of a legend, lost to Fondura. This is Fundura's first fight back since that bloody mess. Talk to me. Go for it.
Well, this Booker guy better not be for a Frenchman who can't punch, because the last time I saw someone with these odds, Munguia, who's supposed to have one of the best chins out there, he got knocked out against a nobody.
So, yeah, he did.
And Fondura, he's got a bit of a suspect chin himself, so I don't know.
Way more suspect than Munguia.
Yeah. So if I was him, I'd be careful. But this fight is like. Also, Sam Litzwood's dude. That guy looked. I loved his fashion show. I love that he dressed up for Biebs. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking.
We had the fitted shirt, buttoned up to his belly button with the gold chain showing.
Full disclosure, he wasn't really dressing up for me because he was headed to the weigh-in shortly after the interview. So I don't want to take credit for that outfit, man.
By the way, when he say in the mountains, I think he means the big bear, right?
I guess.
Yeah, but I wanted to kind of
Oh,
I wanted to make a comedic play off it a little bit. You gotta
champions.
you gotta let me have my moment, little Penny. You gotta let me have my moment.
So what's the feeling down under about this fight? Who's broadcasting it, or people in Australia and New Zealand excited about it? I mean, we do have an Aussie in the division who would probably like to get a rematch with Sebastian Fondura. In fact, I do think I remember Samson saying that they were open to doing a rematch with Tim Tszyu pretty much right after the fight. So, I know they're trying to line up Keith Thurman for Tim Tszyu, but if I was Tim Tszyu, I'd be targeting Sebastian Fondura or the winner of this fight. What are your thoughts, though, Penny?
Now I would be targeting Thurman because he's washed up, but he's got a name. It's definitely beatable. Whereas Fondura, I don't know, he's a little too long for Tim. I don't know. I know he kind of dominated him before the cut, right? But I don't know. I've never been sold on Tim. In fact, on the comments, I actually picked Mendoza to beat Tim because I wasn't sold on him. He fights too much like his father. He didn't go through the same gauntlet like his father did. He's basically a nepo fighter per se. So I would go for Keith Thurman because I know he can beat Thurman because Thurman now is washed up.
Even after what he did to Brock Jarvis?
That was a beautiful performance against Brock Jarvis.
Come on, Benny.
Brock Jarvis.
I give him some respect. I thought you'd be giving him some respect from being from down under.
Brought the one time back.
One time is back.
I think Tim Tszyu will knock out Keith Thurman, but I'm not so sure about Fondura. Because Fondura is hard to gauge, man. Like I was saying, Maestro, in the comments.
But he's up and down. So sometimes he looks good.
Yeah.
Look, let's talk about Thurman for a moment because his only loss was a split decision loss to an all-time great Manny Pacquiao, right? His fight after that, he beat up convincingly the Mario Barrios, right? And now he's taking out Brock Jarvis. So how do you say that he's washed up? That's a little disrespectful.
Dude, that fight against Pacquiao, right?
Yeah.
Pacquiao was 4 years old. Pacquiao was the favorite to win that fight. Just a tad, not a lot, but a favorite. Now, if Thurman was so good, right? He should have been the overwhelming favorite against Pacquiao, and he should have beaten.
I think Thurman was just a slight favorite, wasn't he? I thought Thurman was a slight favorite.
I thought it was Pacquiao.
No,
that was a tad. It was a 50-50 fight.
It was very close. The odds are very tight. You're right.
Because, Bibbs, remember before that he struggled against that Mexican guy. I can't remember his name anymore. Remember the fight before after his elbow injury? Thurman really struggled against that fighter. And that fighter wasn't even renowned as a big puncher. Remember him?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the fight. Yeah,
that's why. And Pacquiao.
Well, one time for about 10 years.
And Pacquiao dominated a washed up Lucas Matisse in Malaysia, right? And then I think he beat Adrian Broner, and it wasn't. He beat him, but it wasn't that convincing. Like, in fact, Broner thought he won.
He won every round though. Like Broner didn't even win a round in that fight.
Oh, no. Broner thought he won. Remember? He said,
"Who cares what Broner thinks? Who cares what he thinks?"
So you're talking about the Riverside Rocky, right? Josecito Lopez?
Yes. Josecito Lopez.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a tough fight.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Rocky Austin. Yeah, Josecito Lopez. So yeah, I mean, but it still only is one loss. So I get targeting Keith if you're Tim Tszyu because he does have a profile. He's a good talker. He's going to sell the fight.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, I don't know if it's a more winnable fight. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't mind seeing Keith Thurman in against Sebastian Fondura. I'm surprised they didn't try to get that fight. for Fundora instead of Booker. Maybe Keith wanted too much money. I don't know, but if I was Keith Thurman, I would have been targeting Fundora.
Yeah,
with all due respect to Brock Jarvis.
Yeah, but he was
Tim
coming off
versus Thurman in
coming off a
Australia.
3-year layoff, though. He needed a comeback fight, Keith Thurman.
But
Yeah, that's
Tim,
true.
Tim versus Thurman in Australia would definitely sell on pay-per-view.
Oh, that'd be a
Def-
gigantic fight, bro.
Yeah, gigantic.
Yeah.
Not as much as say Green and Mundine, which was the highest Australian pay-per-view in Australia, but it wouldn't come close to that, obviously. But it would be very lucrative for both of them.
Interesting.
And we got a little bit of a debate happening in the chat. HLD, big fan of Xander Zayas. I like Xander Zayas a lot, but I think he believes in Zayas more than Top Rank does, because Top Rank's been moving Xander Zayas very, very judiciously in and around the 154-pound rankings.
Problem with HLD is, man, sometimes he becomes a PR person. It's not really a good look for him, man.
Yeah, I mean, I like Xander Zayas a lot, but they haven't been throwing him in there with top competition. Let's just, they've been cautiously building him up. So I don't know where they're going to take Xander Zayas. Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, I like Xander Zayas, but this I don't think he's going to be the guy at 154, man. I don't think he's going to be the guy at 154. He's good, but he just doesn't have there's nothing really dynamic about that guy. He's just he's a meat and potatoes type guy. Not a huge.
He doesn't
puncher.
have the it factor.
Yeah, he's not a huge puncher. I don't know, man. He I'm not even sure he becomes champion with this current.
He'll become champion.
But listen to me when I say I'm not sure he's going to become champion with this current crop of champions out there. Eventually, if he's going to stay in the game long enough, he probably will be able to pick up a title. But I can't see this guy becoming undisputed. I can't see this guy ever being the guy in the division. Let's look at you. You think I don't think
let's talk about it. Bakram Murtazaliev.
He don't beat a Virgil Ortiz. He's not being a murder. He's not going to be
Terrence Crawford.
He couldn't beat a Terrence Crawford.
You know who's pretty good too? Yoenis Tellez, who's probably going to be elevated to full champion once Crawford moves up in the WBA, right?
And here's the problem: if he fights a guy like Fondura, I don't even think he beats Fondura at this point right now, to be honest.
We also have Virgil Ortiz, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Virgil Ortiz is the first name out of my mouth.
Bro, you know what else we got? We got Jesus Ramos, who's my dark horse in the division. I really like Jesus Ramos. I like the way he puts his shots together. He's got great balance. He's got great fundamentals. He's got good defense. He operates within his skill set, doesn't try to do too much, which I like a lot. And I thought that he beat Erickson Lubin, who also is still there.
Yeah, I thought he beat him too.
Got Charles Conwell too.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be too hard on Xander Zayas.
No, neither am I. I like Xander a lot.
But the guy's got 21 fights. If they thought he was ready, he would have been fought for the title by now.
I agree.
He would have been fought for the title right now. And I'm going to say something. He probably won't fight for the title until probably next year.
Yeah, I agree. Look, when you look at the champions, right? You've got Terrence Crawford, the WBA, right?
He's going to vacate all the time.
He's going to vacate. Tellez is going to move up. Maybe they put him in with Tellez if they can sort that out. I know Tellez is PBC affiliated, but Bakram Murtazaliev, that's a tough one for Xander Zayas.
Not beating that guy.
Virgil Ortiz,
not beating that.
That's a tough one he's the interim WBC under Fondura. Yeah, by the way, Virgil Ortiz is a tough out for Fondura too. He might have to face Ortiz next if he wins this fight.
Well, Ortiz will beat Fondura.
Yeah, Ortiz is the interim champ.
I'm going to say this: Virgil Ortiz is the best guy at 154 right now.
I agree.
Because Crawford's is moving up, so I don't even.
Bro, let me spell it out to you this way. I was in California. I was at the fight for him and Madrimov. He went 12 hard rounds with Madrimov. It was a 115, 113 kind of fight. right?
I had it 116, 112, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay, but you know what? I didn't have 116, 112. Virgil Ortiz dismantling and dominating Israel Madrimov.
No.
I mean, he showed his level. Yeah. 154 is his weight class. He's not killing himself to make 147 anymore. Right. The rhabdo has been sorted out clearly. He's got his health on track, and I gotta say, my guy in the division, I think he's the best fighter in the division, is Virgil Ortiz Jr. Any disagreement or agreement there, Lil Penny?
Hey, look at Top Rank with the WBO. I bet you Xander Zayas will get that belt because, Top Rank is affiliated with the WBO.
Yeah, but the WBO, number one, he's ranked number one in the WBO. Xander Zayas. That's the body that he has his highest ranking with. But the champion in that division is Sebastian Fondura, right? Crawford is the interim champ, but we know I don't even understand how he's an interim champ, but whatever. He's an interim champ at 154. He's going to move up and vacate that when he fights Canelo in September. So look, if Xander is being positioned for a title shot, the title shot that he's being positioned for is against the winner of this fight, right? And right now the champion is Sebastian Fondura. Go for it.
Yeah, Maestro, I see that happening because Thurman and Tim will fight in Australia next. So I can see that happening. I don't know if he beats Fondura though. Fondura's a tough out sometimes. I don't know. Xander Zayas he's got his work cut out for him. I don't know. Maybe Top Rank will do him a favor and get a home ground advantage on the WBO. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe what you could do if you're Top Rank is I don't even know if that's a big enough fight. I was going to say maybe take him to England and have him fight Josh Kelly in a smaller arena show over there, because Josh Kelly's in the division. He's highly ranked. He's got a name in England. But I don't know. HLD is saying, are you guys hard of reading? The WBC announced Xander will be the mandatory to the winner of Fondura versus Booker.
They haven't announced that. That's not true.
I didn't see that anywhere.
I heard that Xander Zayas wanted to push for that, but it has not been officially announced yet.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because I see a lot of final eliminators in the WBC and in the IBF. I don't really see a lot of final eliminators in the WBO. Have you guys noticed that? Or am I off on that? Because you'd think that Xander should have to fight Charles Cromwell. If it was in the IBF or the WBC, he'd probably be fighting Charles Cromwell to be mandatory. But I don't know. I mean, they even have an interim titleist there, so I haven't seen that, HLD. But maybe I missed it. I don't know.
I heard it mentioned that it could possibly happen, but it has not been officially announced yet.
Hey, speaking of 154, who do you guys like? Tim Tszyu or Keith Thurman at 154 in, say, 6 months' time?
Ooh. Or Tim Tszyu? Keith Thurman or Tim Tszyu?
Yeah.
Bro, I'll be honest. If you asked me a question, ask me this time last year, I would have said Tim Tszyu without even thinking about it. But the Tim Tszyu today is not the Tim Tszyu of March 21st, 2024. He's just not the same fighter. How do we know that? Because of what happened last March 30th against Fondura. I think his trainers, I think his entire team did him a disservice by allowing that fight to go on. All they had to say was he can't see. And the fight would have been a no contest, literally. Yeah. As soon as with that amount of blood, if you say he can't see to the doctor, he's immediately going to be recommending to the referee that fight be stopped. Then you move on to the next fight. Let's be honest, he got beaten from pillar to post by background.
It's
I mean,
very
it was worse than what Corey Sanders did to Vladimir Klitschko, the way he had him running all over the ring, and it was horrible. So how can I pick that guy right now, even against Keith Thurman at this stage, with confidence? I can't do it.
well, correct me
Now
if I'm
I got to see how he does in his next fight. Go for it, Joe.
correct me if I'm wrong. Did the referee did the referee ever like ask the doctor to look at that cut? Like, and when the doctor did look at that cut during the fight, I don't remember seeing him like holding up fingers asking him if he could see stuff. Like they did not really look at that cut thoroughly, in my opinion. And obviously, I'm not a doctor, but
No, the doctor did a horrible job that night.
yeah, they had like it seemed to me that nobody in that arena had any concern with the severity of that cut.
I agree. I was watching the fight with my wife in a hotel room in Glendale, California. Sorry, Arizona, which is where I was because I was there last year for the Oscar Valdez fight. And I honestly, watching it, I was horrified. Now people say, "Oh, Maestro, you're soft. This is boxing. This is a blood and gut sport." Well, I'm a human being. I'm also a teacher and a coach, and I can't tell you the amount of sparring sessions that I've just stopped because it's just there's no point. Like one guy's clearly going to get hurt, and that's always the mentality I take with me into my analysis of boxing and of injuries and of when fights should be allowed to continue or stopped. He was not in a position to be involved in a fair fight really on his skills. He couldn't see.
No way he could.
He couldn't see.
You could see the blood actually in the white of his eyes.
Yes.
It wasn't like it was trick, like right in his face. Like I will. Oh my god! I would never like. I can never rationalize why someone in that corner just didn't say he can't see.
Doc, he can't see. He can't see.
No way. There's no way I would let my fighter continue on in that condition.
And by the way,
No
here's the other thing. They clearly hit a vein, right? That was just gushing blood. Even if they wiped the face between rounds, and they're applying the towel, which they were doing, right? And then the referee, the doctor and the referee come and they're like, "You okay? Can you see?" That's not the moment to do it. You do it in the middle of the round when the blood is pouring, and you're like, "Yo, can you see?" No, he can't see. Stop the fight.
You know something else, Maestro, that people don't really take into consideration? Because you have these idiots online. Oh, go out on your shield, go to the end. But if you have an injury, right? Like, for instance, that cut, and that was a horrible cut.
Yeah.
The longer you continue to fight with that cut,
it was actually a gash. I don't think it was. It's a gash.
Whatever it was. Say you injure your hand or you have some type of ligament damage.
Yep.
And you continue to fight on. All that does is injure the area more, and it lengthens your recuperation and recovery time after the fight.
Which what happened.
Yeah. So if they pulled him out, maybe the severity of that injury would not have been as bad as it was, because the longer you continue on with an injury in a fight, the worse it gets. You know what I'm saying?
But I think the reason why he continues because I really thought that he was gonna ump up the ante, and he really thought he was gonna knock out Fondura, but he didn't realize that Fondura can fight back. You know what? Did you notice that Beeps like?
I'm going to give you an interesting tidbit, and this is what Glenn Jennings said. And I don't want to question him, but it's still a little bit weird to me. He was saying that it wasn't specified and clarified to him and the team that was actually caused by, like, they didn't say that was caused by an elbow. They didn't make that determination. That's what he said. I thought they did. I don't think that
I thought they did.
I didn't think that the referee said that was caused by a punch, but he was saying at that time they weren't sure what determination was made on how that cut was caused. That's what he said. I don't know.
Guys, look at this. Okay? I mean, look at the dude's head. Look at the amount of blood. I mean, he's doing his best here. I don't know that we're going to see a point here where we can look at his face. And you're dealing with a guy who's got a tremendously logged jab and who's a pretty sharp puncher with his jab and with his backhand, his left hand. The dude couldn't see, and he admitted that after the fight.
Couldn't see.
He couldn't see. Look at his face. Look at this.
Someone in that building.
Look at that. How is this allowed to continue?
No
Look at this.
That's just a fuck. That's a travesty, man. That is a travesty.
Yeah, it reminds me of Khan versus Barrera when Barrera got a cut. I think the same area, and he couldn't see either. Remember that Khan and Barrera?
What were you going to say before, Penny, about when I made that point about Glenn Jennings, the manager of Tim Tszyu? When I talked about
no. I was just going to say that I think to me, this is just my opinion. I think the reason why their corner didn't stop that fight against Fondura is because I really thought that once, sometimes when you're a great fighter and you get a cut and you just didn't ump up the ante and then you knock them out, I really thought that that's what they thought Tim would do.
They thought that cut would have made him go to another level. In other words, the adrenaline would have just took it.
And then knock him out. Like, because he was going for the KO. Remember, like when he got that cut.
Yeah.
But I don't know if have you guys seen Khan versus Barrera? It's the same thing. Barrera.
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, it was his debut on Amazon Prime. I think it was the first Amazon Prime card. He also mentioned it. He felt the pressure of that. He's headlining his first arena show in the United States. He'd fought in the United States before, but not in an arena, not in Vegas. And he didn't want on his debut to essentially retire due to an injury and have it be a no contest. But you look at that in retrospect, what's worse? Retaining your title and having a no contest on your record and getting stitched up and healed up and then getting another fight, maybe a rematch, or what ended up happening. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
These guys in the chat are comparing the cut that Benavidez had to the cut Tim Tszyu had.
No, it's much worse.
Bro, Tim Tszyu was gushing. His whole face was covered with blood, man. Benavidez had I'm not saying Benavidez's cut was No,
look, Benavidez had a couple cuts, lacerations. Tim Tszyu had a gash. It was a gash. It was literally like somebody took a blunt object and split you open.
Tim Tszyu had to take almost a year off for that thing to heal.
And by the way, guess what? People are bringing up Badou Jack's cut. I thought that fight should have been stopped as well. I mean, I don't want boxing to be a sport where people have bloody crimson tide faces and are risking their permanent health. Because let's not forget this. They can't see and they're receiving potentially concussive blows to the head. Edwin Valero cut. There you go.
You remember when he fought at 135? He got cut and then he knocked him out straight away.
Yeah, Antonio DeMarco.
That
was a sick fight.
So we'll see. Sebastian Fundura's back. I got to agree with Joe on this. It is a potential banana skin. We talked about the odds earlier. It's minus 2,000 to pick Booker by unanimous decision. You're not going to get those.
Plus 2,000.
Sorry, plus 2,000. Plus 2,000. Yeah. Those are pretty good odds. I mean, you even lay down $10, you get some money back. Go for it, Joe.
Are we going to put a little money on this little penny? What are we doing here?
Yeah, with that sort of odds, yeah. I mean, why not?
Why not take a shot, right?
But look, I'm against betting. I don't bet. I only bet on lotto. So
well, that's betting.
That's probably the worst.
Mr. Moralistic here.
That's the worst kind of betting. That's the worst kind of betting you could do, man. You have the worst odds.
You just put it there for fun. Just
the lottery's a tax on the working class, right?
Not my country. We don't get taxed on if we win 100.
No, I'm saying it's a form of taxation because it's working class people that go out and buy lottery tickets. You see old women walking out of the pharmacy with stacks of whenever there's a Powerball that's in the hundreds of millions. People are walking out with stacks of lottery tickets. Guess what? The government uses that money. It's a tax. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a voluntary tax, but it's still a tax on the working class, I think.
What do you think of this pay scale from TKO, like that. If 15,000 and it's up to 50.
Honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's better than I thought it would be, and there's a lot of prospects that don't make that aren't consistently making that kind of money, and there are people fighting for world titles that aren't making 375 grand in boxing. I'm not trying to count other people's purses, but I'd be interested to know what Keyshawn Davis made when he took on Dennis Berenchik, and how that compares.
If you were to look at every fight on the card, Little Penny, like this is what people they don't understand. There's 27,000 registered boxers right now in the world. Like the top 4 or 5% are the only ones that are making real money. You know how many guys fight for $300, $1,000? So if you're a guy and you're gonna be in there, right? And if you're just a regular fringe contender and you're guaranteed like what 20,000, 25,000, and you fight like maybe 2 or 3 times a year, that's not a bad living for you.
Yeah, definitely 375,000 for a title fight. Man, that's way more than I make.
Yeah,
and you do that 3 times a year. Didn't I say guaranteed 3 times a year? That's $1 million in 1 year.
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like if you keep it active, whatever. HLD gets so mad at me when I question him.
What the hell's going on here?
So I'll read it. He says, Joe, by the way, thank you for the super chat. I'll put Joe on the big screen here so he can respond to this. Joe, I don't know how you sometimes have a channel, but I know more real news. Gustavo, WBO president, on X yesterday, he announced Xander as the Mando to the winner tonight. Ringside reporter, a.k.a. MSNBC fake news. Whoa, that was a shot.
So why don't you post the link in the chat?
That was a shot.
And then I will do. If you see, he gives an ad hominem attack instead of posting the actual link.
He basically John Lemon from like.
Well, he's calling you out, Joe. He doesn't think you're actually ringside reporting.
It's okay. Better than a lot of these other guys out here that like fucking look at all the fake stories that come up from some of these other guys.
Okay, so on this note, we're gonna end it, and then I'll invite people over to hour number 2, which is gonna be on my channel. We're gonna be discussing David Benavidez and what's next for David Benavidez, because he's got a couple good options there on the table. But before we get to that, I want to ask you guys, because I did see somebody referenced this in the chat.
Before we go, here's the actual tweet. I will recommend to the WBO Championship Committee that current number 1 world rated contender Xander Zayas be designated the mandatory challenger. If designated, the winner of Fondura, Booker, must fight Xandez with them. So he hasn't.
It's not official, guys. It's not official.
They mentioned it, but it's not official.
So
I will recommend that Maestro gets $110,000 raise next year. He's not going to go out and start spending that $110,000 because I recommended it. It's not official.
No, it's not official. So Omar says, I heard HLD call it couchside reporter. Joe says the best ringside seat is his couch in the living room.
Well,
so
it is.
Yeah,
I will recommend. What does that say? I will recommend.
Yeah.
To the committee.
Yeah, there's a committee, guys. He doesn't it's a committee. It's not a dictatorship. It's like when I press Dougie Fisher about the pound for pound rankings at the ring. And what does he tell me? He's like, yo, Milcar, it's not me. It's like there's a whole committee here. I'm the editor, but I make my views known. But sometimes the committee doesn't agree with me.
I read the same tweet. That doesn't mean it's an official. It's officially ordered. He recommended it.
So I got a little bit of footage here, potentially, and I'm basing this off of a joke in the chat, so I don't want to take full credit for this. But Cordale Booker versus Sebastian Fondura, it might just go down like this, guys. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. Here we go. Chordale Booker, sorry. Oh, look at that. Oh, scissor kick. And the spinneroonie. Cordell Booker tonight. Who knows? It might be a bananas getting Joe. Joe's still thinking about the WBO stuff. I'm off of that. I can see on his face that he's still thinking about the criticism of him as it relates to this WBO. Here I am trying to smooth things out between you and HLD with a joke, and you still want to continue it.
I'm not even saying it can't happen. All I'm saying is it hasn't been ordered yet.
I mean, it's not official.
Is it official?
When does the board of governors say no to the president? Rolling out loud, dying out loud emoji.
Then why does he have to recommend it then? They're going to vote on it.
Yeah. All right, let's end this here. Everybody hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're over time, Lil Penny. I'm sorry. We got to get going to hour number 2. You can join us for hour number 2. Link is in the chat. All right. But we do have to get going. I want to remind everybody, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Alex says HLD got cooked. That's interesting.
He lied.
He's saying he got cooked. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Shout out to HLD. HLD, I believe, is from New York City. All right. I believe. So, shout out to HLD. I don't know if he's from the Bronx, but I'm pretty sure he's from New York City. Shout out to HLD. And
it'll probably happen, but it's not official.
Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Join us for hour number 2. We're going to be talking about David Benavidez, whether he's going to take on Bivol, whether he's going to take on Callum Smith.
Do we have to wait?
Huh?
Is it straight away or do we have to wait?
No, it's going to be right away. Here. Click the link right now. We're going to go there right away. Let's go. Thank you. I'll see you guys later. Thank you to everybody watching, and we'll go over to the next one. Take care.